at his base, I think that Mojo is one of the worst Mystic champions in the entire game. However, I think that Mojo, combined with this synergy team, the best Mystic champion in the entire game. Degen. Yo, what's going on, dudes? Alright, listen, so right now it is 3:48 in the morning, and a bunch of people are sleeping. So I am going to be talking very quietly into my microphone, kind of like this is Mcoc ASMR. Not actually, but I am going to be talking a little quietly here. Now, as you know by now, I am now in the Kabam Contest Creator Program. I'm very happy to be in it, and this week I am testing out Mojo. First things first, let's go over this guy. Now, this guy is one of those really complicated looking champions who has a lot of abilities, but he's honestly not that complicated at all. So I'm only going to tell you what you have to know. So his Sig ability, this is where he gets a crap ton of his damage from, okay? He's kind of like Silver Server, where he just gets double his power at Sig 200, except he actually gets triple his power at Sig 200, okay? At Sig 1, he gets double his power, so he's actually okay at Sig 1, but he's really good at Sig 200. So what happens is when you reach 5 followers, you get a really, really big Fury that lasts as long as you have 5 followers. Pretty easy to get, right? So let's go over his important abilities, okay? This is how Mojo works. He kind of gets these prompts, okay? And at first, I really hated the prompts, man. I liked the idea of it, but like my thumb was always covering them, and I'd have to move my thumb, or I'd click pause and see what it is. And it's prompts like dash back, throw a special attack, do a heavy, block a hit, right? Most of them you'll be doing naturally. But some of them, like idle, need to be removed from the game. You can't really idle in endgame content or Alliance War. So I do think that has to be looked at, but for the most part, even if you don't know how to play this guy, if you're just messing around with him, you'll probably get to 5 followers pretty easily. So what happens when you complete one of these prompts? Well, now, first of all, either you can complete it or the opponent can complete it, okay? Now, when this happens, you activate the AntiLife Field. So the AntiLife Field is kind of like Omega Red's Death Field, except 10 times worse. So the AntiLife Field doesn't do any damage to the opponent, but what it does is it makes all buffs activated on the opponent 90% shorter. And anytime that buff is nullified on the opponent, they take a bunch of degen damage. Now that's where the majority of his damage is going to come from. Now Mojo has a lot of survivability, and in my opinion, he's incredibly suicide friendly, so that's one reason why I like him. Whenever a buff is nullified or expires, he's going to regenerate 3% of his missing health, just like Namor does right now. At 3 million followers, he's going to gain up to 50% of a bar of power based on how many followers he has at the time. Now at 5 followers, he's going to place a hater buff on the opponent for 20 seconds. Now when this buff is expired, they're going to take the degen damage from the AntiLife Field. Now this buff doesn't do anything at all, okay? It just expires and causes damage. It's kind of cool. Now basic attacks also have a 15% chance to place a hater buff. His heavy attack, okay? If a prompt is active and you don't like that prompt, like idle, you're going to parry, you're going to heavy, and you're going to get a new one, and you're not going to lose any followers. Special attack 1 has a 100% chance to nullify 1 buff off of the opponent. I hate that. I don't know why it's 1 buff. The special one has about 200 hits, and it nullifies 1 buff, and that is Mojo's only way to nullify any permanent buffs. Special 2, if the AntiLife Field is not active, trigger its degen. If it is active, trigger degen for every million followers that you have. Now this does a lot of damage if your Mojo is fully ramped up and you have all 5 followers. By the way, it's really easy to ramp this guy up. Now the special 3 completes your current prompt, and it also activates the degen just like the special 2. Now here are all of the possible prompts. I'm not going to read through them. You can go ahead and pause this if you want to, but as you can see, it's all pretty standard stuff. Now let's take a look at some of Mojo's synergies here. So he has this one with a long shot, okay? So 50% chance to not lose followers when failing a prompt. By the way, I may have forgotten to mention that if you do fail a prompt, you go back to 1 follower. But the more fights that you complete with Mojo, he has persistent charges, so he'll never be able to fall below 2 followers on the second fight, or 3 followers on the third fight, 4 followers, and so on. Smile for the camera with Psylocke. This one's actually kind of nice. When the opponent completes a prompt, you steal 10% of their current power. Now this synergy is really good, except it's kind of not, and I'll explain why. Now this one allows you to do a lot of energy damage with his heavy attack, but you don't want to use Mojo's heavy attack, and I'll explain to you why in a little bit. Now this next synergy I used to love. This was the one thing that I really loved about Mojo, until I realized that I hate being unstoppable, because when I parry an attack, you don't move, you just stay there, you don't parry, and it feels like you missed the parry. So I don't really like this synergy, but by the way, this synergy makes Korg hit like an absolute monster. And finally, we have two really great synergies that are solo synergies from Mojo. The first one is you gain 5% power gain, and the second one is 7% offensive power rate. Those are both really nice bonuses from Mojo. Now, how do I feel about Mojo? At his base, I think that Mojo is one of the worst Mystic champions in the entire game. However, I think that Mojo, combined with this synergy team, forming this Trinity, not only makes this, in my opinion, the best Trinity in the entire game, but also makes Mojo the best Mystic champion in the entire game. And I'll explain to you why. Let's look at this synergy between Black Widow Clairvoyant and Ghost Rider, okay? All champions reduce the duration of the opponent's buffs by 30%. Now wait a minute. Isn't that what Mojo does, except by 90%? So why do you need that? Okay, hold on. Let's go back into Mojo's abilities over here, and let's take a look at this. So the AntiLife Field, which is active most of the time, any buff triggered on the opponent has 90% reduced duration. Now wait a minute. 90 plus 30, that's 120. Wait a minute. So what happens to the buff? Does it even pop up?
If the
Buff
never approaches anything, the
Buff
does not exist. The
Buff
does not exist.
Our new state champions, the North Shore Mathletes.
No, it does not even pop up. It has 120% reduced duration. Now in theory, that's like, oh, that's cool. That makes him a little bit better. But wait a minute. Now, I told you before you don't want to parry heavy, but now I'm going to tell you why, okay? When you have 5 followers, you're going to be placing hater buffs on the opponent 15% of the time with all of your basic hits. So you're going to have your opponents in the corner, and you are going to be spamming 5-hit combos. You're going to be baiting out their specials, and you're going to be using your specials, and you're going to be regenerating every single time one of those hater buffs expires. And there aren't going to be any hater buffs. It's going to be degen, and he is going to become an absolute damage degen god. This Trinity turns Mojo into, hands down, the best Juggernaut counter. Hands down. Now, I didn't get to test this in War, so I don't know for sure how exactly it's going to interact, but I have a theory that this Trinity, Mojo, Black Widow, and Ghost Rider, will be, hands down, the best option for Path 4 in Alliance War. And what's the best part about this is that Black Widow Clairvoyant and Ghost Rider are two absolutely incredible champions. Now when you put these three together, oh my god, Mojo gets so good. I don't even understand how that extra 10% makes him so good. The difference between 90% reduced duration and the 120%, it's just insane. Placing these hater buffs on the opponent, and you're doing so much degen damage, and nobody is immune to degen. You are doing so much damage, and this guy is rank 3. If you saw my video of Longshot taking down that Hyperion in 6.3, Mojo takes him down about 5 times easier, and he didn't get a power gain buff one time. Hyperion, shut down. Juggernaut, shut down. Anybody with some sort of regen, shut down. Arc Overload, shut down. Vigor, gone. Those nodes where they get a regeneration buff every couple seconds and they become unblockable, don't even worry about it. By the way, guys, Ghost Rider, always the frickin' bridesmaid, never the bride, am I right? So you guys, that's what I think about Mojo. Now, I discovered this interaction really, really late. Like, this guy is getting taken away from me in less than 12 hours, so that's why I'm making this video right now, because I just needed to share this. And I really just wish that I found it sooner. I've been playing this guy for about a week by himself, and I did not like him. I did not like him at all, and I was very vocal about it. I told the developers I didn't like him, I told the designers I didn't like him. He didn't seem practical to me. But then I added Black Widow and Ghost Rider, and I want him. I want a 6-star. I want to take him to rank 2. I want to take him to rank 3. I want a 565 SIG 200 Mojo. The damage and the regen, it's just non-stop. I don't know, guys, I'm so impressed with this Trinity. I watched these videos that I took, and I don't believe it's a rank 3 champ. I can't even imagine what he would look like at rank 5. Alright, guys, I have a very special video coming up next, and this is going to be an Act 6.2 champion boss solo with the Mojo. In my opinion, hands down, the best option for this fight. Alright, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed playing with Mojo. I cannot wait to get my hands on this guy. Again, I'll see you around.